Yo, GameBro here, and this is Let's Play Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. I've considered LPing this game for years actually now, but only now have I gotten around to it. Atari Funimation. This is one of the last games to appear on the Game Boy Advance officially. But need I even say what this title is? Should be obvious right off the bat that this is a Dragon Ball game. After all, being based on one of the most popular animes of all time. Well, at least in Japan. In the US, not so much. It gets overlooked, especially in comparison to Z or even GT. And when GT is more popular than the original series, then there's a problem. Anyway, let's get into the game. Here we have no data prepared for me to make a new file. Here we have 3 difficulties. We have easy, hell no to that, regular. I'll be going with this difficulty, and there's also hard. As much as I like a challenge, it's definitely one hell of a challenge, on this difficulty. I'll end up dying a lot, making the videos far longer than they have to. Plus, the game becomes more frustrating and fun at the difficulty. So I'm gonna go with regular. We have one-on-one. I'll probably show that later. Link mode. That I do know someone who owns this game as well, but he hasn't really gotten around to really get into it. Here we have option or options, collection. You erase save data. Yeah, like there's anything to erase here. I'll explain collection later. But yeah, this was one of my favorite animes when I was younger. Nowadays, I like it. It's a good show, but it definitely has several problems that I'll probably address as I make progress in this LP. This game will only take like a couple hours for you to finish. It's not a very long game, even considering it's for a Game Boy Advance. But it is one of the few flaws with this game is that it is too short, and I believe it costed like $30 when it officially released. But if you're a Dragon Ball fan, I would definitely recommend the game even at that price. Yeah, this is a beat 'em up game, some platforming in it. Beat enemies and then move on. So I guess I'll explain the controls. A, you have jump, keep tapping B for a combo, press down and B while in midair to have his diagonal kick, press up and B to give a good kick to whatever opponent. Sometimes enemies drop food on the way where you can find it and to be able to restore your health. Up and B to spin your power pole. Not only does it damage enemies nearby you, but it also deflects bullets being shot at you. Hamburger. Also, you can jump off walls by jumping against the wall and then tapping the opposite direction, quickly tapping A to wall jump. The controls are pretty basic, but like not so basic that a hardcore player won't enjoy it, and hardcore players can definitely get enjoyment out of this game, but especially if they're into Dragon Ball like I am. Exclamation. It means that there are enemies you have to face, and yep, here's wall jump. I believe that is a pit, and I would have died like on the first freaking level. And also, there are certain spots where you can use your power pole extend to reach great heights. As you can see, hold up and press A. Not at the same time, just have to hold up and then press it. But need I explain? least obvious enough. And also you can press L to... It uses up energy, you can see on the bottom left part of the screen. But it has quite a range and does quite a bit of damage to enemies within its radius. So something down there, it's a red door. And I'll explain why we can't get into it later. I probably begin too much ahead of myself. There are also some points you can get, as you can see on the top right part of the screen. But since this is not, well, it is, well, Atari, well, we saw Atari like pretty much at the beginning of the game, but I mean, like, you know, Atari 2600, you know, those Atari systems before the NES came out, when points actually mattered. If it's not a game like that, a system like that, then points probably won't matter, and they don't matter in this game much. Oh, and you can also double tap in the same direction to run. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the controls. So yeah, again, this is one of the most overlooked anime ever, at least in the US. It deserves its popularity in Japan, for sure. Maybe Europe and a few other countries, but as for America, it really does not get what it deserves. In many ways, I find this show to be better than Z. First of all, it has a better story. I mean, it's basic, but it gets the job done, and it's overall a decent story for what it is. Very much enjoyable. It's funny. The fight scenes are still awesome. I mean, there are a few mad fight scenes, but most fight scenes in this anime are still pretty awesome. And I mentioned it's funny. I usually prefer to watch dramatic anime over comedy anime, but comedy is more so what Dragon Ball is about than drama, although it does get more serious later on the show, if you didn't know. But yeah, the series definitely deserves to watch if you have watched, especially if you watch Z as well. I've enjoyed watching GT, although it's as flawed of an anime as it is. It's very much flawed, it's a mess, but I kind of enjoyed GT for what it was. So I have to protect this sea turtle from this character that we will never see again. And oh yes, there's one last move. Hold R and press L to do the after image attack. Let's say that's all the moves we have now. Let's say there won't be more later. You can get multiple hits on him with the enemy with that after image attack I just showed. But it uses a full bar. Uses some energy. So yeah, don't waste on weaklings and such. And here's Master Roshi, someone who is actually useful in the series, but pretty much shoved to the side in the sequel, along with several other characters in Z. Sadly. The villains in that series are just way too freaking powerful. They're just overpowered. Not to say that this is a realistic show either. It's certainly not a realistic show. But, yeah. And that, DBZ fanboys, is how Goku got his flying Nimbus. They can have sky battles, which don't happen often, but we have to go through them a few times in the story mode. You can also go back to levels you visited before. But I mentioned before, this is a short game. It only takes like 2 or 3 hours to finish the first time, which is pretty much how long it would take pretty much any other time after that. Not like any shortcuts in this game necessarily. And here's another character that was in Z but was rarely seen. Oolong, the shape-shifting perverted pig. And the dialogue the story is showing, it's pretty much in a nutshell. Sammy is like 153 episodes long. So yeah, of course they're gonna have to skip some stuff to be able to have this whole game into the whole series, but that is not entirely true. This game stops just before Goku makes it to his adulthood. So the I find myself like doing that diagonal kick and like that air kick move, switching between to do a lot of damage in mid-air enemies. That is definitely a decent tip I would recommend. And you can see kind of like how much HP it has, 8,000. How much damage you dealt with it to be able to defeat him or her. But yeah. Yeah, Ulan was weak even back in the original series. The show is actually about collecting Dragon Balls, or at least putting a lot more detail into collecting them Dragon Balls. There's just so much to like about the show. Why isn't it more popular in the US than it is? But anyway, here's Yamcha and Puar. Two more characters that kind of got shoved to the side once it made to Sequel Z. And fight. Right about using his Wolf Fang Fist. He had just paid attention to animation, see what they do. I don't really have a lot of tips to give. Just watch out for Wolf Fang Fist, or Loga Fufu Ken by its Japanese name. And Puar will frequently drop bombs on you. And I better not die during this fight. It'd be quite embarrassing to lose on the first part. Yoga Fufu Ken! But he's almost finished. And gotcha! Area clear. Yep. And she's supposed to be the genius, falling for guys that tried to kill her friends. That's Bulma for you. So, yeah. I think I'll just stop this here. We'll make more progress in the next part. This is GamePro. See you all in the next video.